Okay, I told you that if you wanted to learn how to use styles, I was going to show you how to use that instead of just using the tools up here on the home bar to make sure that your font was the correct style and size and centered in the right place or indented in the right place, etc. So we're not going to use the ruler to do our indentations like that, okay? We will not be using that. We will not be using these buttons or features at all. What we're going to use is our styles. So these macros over here can be set up so that you can use them over and over and over again within your document in different places. And it's going to come in really handy for you in the long run because I will show you in another video, if you would like to watch, how to set up a template that you can use for all of your future manuscripts so that you don't have to keep doing this over and over again every time you start a new document. These macros will be super handy in helping you to do that, but for now we're just talking about fixing a manuscript that you've already got that's had bad formatting in it that you are fixing before you send it to your editor. Okay, again, we're just helping everybody out. We're helping ourselves, we're helping our editor, we're helping our publisher, we're helping formatters. It's all good. We're helping everybody, especially us, and getting our amazing books out there for people to read and looking beautiful. So first things first is we have to make it pretty so that our editor can do the work of editing, not formatting. Now, instead of doing this by hand, by doing indentations using the ruler or changing the fonts this way, we're going to use the styles. What I like to do with the styles, instead of using this drop-down box that kind of gets in the way, is I like to pull it out to the side. So this button right here down in the corner, it looks like a little box thing with an arrow pointing out of it. You're going to click on that, and out pops the styles menu. There's a whole bunch of styles in here. Most of these we're not going to use, so we're going to go to options. Instead of recommended styles, we're going to use the ones that are in use. And we're going to have them listed alphabetically, just because I like to do it that way. Now, some things like this are just weird formatting things that somehow popped up in here, and I don't know where they came from. We don't want it. We're not going to use it, so we're going to delete it. They have this one for emphasis. I don't know where it's used in the document. It doesn't show that it is, so we're going to go ahead and delete it as well, because we're not going to use their emphasis button. We'll be getting rid of that. These headers, I don't know. I've already tried to delete them. They don't really go away, so we're just going to ignore them. So now we've cleaned out all those other ones, though, that we're definitely not using. The ones that we really want to use are normal, and normal is the one that you would use for all of your paragraph font throughout your manuscript. This is everything but chapter headings, scene breaks, first paragraphs, that kind of stuff, okay? So most of your paragraphs will be normal. Now, normal right now, as you see, when I just lay my mouse over the top of this, it says that it's Calibri 11-point alignment left, single spacing with 8 points after each line, okay, with widow and orphan control turned on, etc. We don't want those settings. Those are not the correct settings. So we're going to right-click on the word normal. This box pops up. We're going to click modify. We're going to modify normal. We want to come down here to where it says formatting. This box will do the drop-down menu. We want to find Times New Roman. We want 12-point font. As you can see, though, this is not indented. We definitely want it to be indented. We want double spacing. We don't want 8 points of space after a paragraph. So we want to come down here to the bottom left-hand corner where it says format. Click on that, then go to paragraph. In here, we want to make sure our alignment is left. That's good. If it says justified, you need to change it to left. Okay. Indentation, this should be 0, which is perfect. Over here at special, we want to change this to first line. It will auto-populate 0.5 inches, so ½ an inch is perfect. We want to get rid of the spacing after, so it should be 0 before, 0 after. Line spacing should move from single to double. And once you've changed all of those things, you can go ahead and push OK. Now you see in the little example, it has the indentation, it has the double spacing, it's Times New Roman, 12 font. That's all great. We'll push OK. Now you can see it automatically adjusted all of your paragraphs. And if it didn't, you'll need to just go in, highlight your text, and do it again. Certain things, like your, sorry, my mind went blank, your scene breaks should not just be indented, they need to be centered, as well as your chapter headings. And we will come back to those here shortly. But for now, we're just checking to make sure that this did, in fact, indent all of our paragraphs. And I'm seeing that it didn't automatically do some of them. So I'm going to turn on the hide show feature again, just to see where my paragraphs end, to make sure that those are all correct. For some reason, it did not indent here. So I'm going to put my cursor next to it and push next. And here's another one where it did not indent. I'm going to do it again. If you don't want to do it that way, let me go ahead and undo that. You can just highlight all of your text. Like that. Or you can click at the beginning or the end. The very end, oops, to the very beginning. I'm not going to include the chapter head in that. This is all going to be normal. And if we go down here to where they weren't indented, now they are. Okay, everything's indented. Even stuff we don't really want indented. But we will go back and fix those things. So we're going to give them their own styles. So chapter headings are going to get their own style, as well as scene breaks. So we will want to come over here to our styles menu again. And we're going to do chapter headings first, okay? We're not going to use their pre-made headings, we're going to make our own. So we're going to come down here to new style. It's based off of our normal style, which is fine, but we're going to change the name to, oops, chapter head, okay? And we're going to leave it Times New Roman. We're going to make it 14, we're going to make it bold. We don't want it to be indented, we want it to be centered, so we come down to Format, Paragraph. We want to center it. We'll just change that to body text. Okay. This should be none. Okay. Before, we're going to turn that up to 120. And after, we're going to leave that at 6. Push OK. Now this is kind of what it's going to look like. When I push OK, you're going to see the chapter 1 move. So we have some space beforehand. They want you to come down about 1/3 of the way on the page. That's maybe a little bit less than 1/3, but it's close enough. I usually go for 120. The next thing here, of course, is we don't want to have our first paragraph of a chapter indented. So the first paragraph of every chapter should be left aligned. We're going to create a style for that to make it really easy to make sure all of our paragraphs are set up that way. So new style, this is going to be, I'm going to call it first paragraph. I'm going to come down here to Format, Paragraph, left align is good. We're going to change special to none. This should stay at 0, this should stay at double. Okay, it took away the indentation, which is all we really need it to do. And now it has removed it. And let's say after a scene break, you also don't want it to be indented. You can do that again really easily just now by clicking first paragraph. If you decide that you do want it to be indented, all you need to do is push normal and it will put it back to indented. So the next style that we want to create is for your scene break. I like to use the triple asterisks, but when you're sending it to your editor, that's really unnecessary. We're keeping it nice and clean for them, so we're going to go ahead and delete that one. We're going to go with what the standard is, which is the pound symbol. But we don't want it indented, we want it centered. So we're going to create a centered style. We're going to go ahead and go to New Style. We're going to call this one Centered. Now we could click this, but what that does is it leaves our indentation. It doesn't get rid of the indent. We need to go to Format, Paragraph. It is adjusted centered here, but we want to take away the special indent so that it says none. Spacing is fine. Push OK and OK, and now it is centered with no indentation. And you can do that when you come down here to your next chapter. Like anytime you have a scene break, you can change it from normal to centered, just by clicking that button. Chapter 2, there you go. What we need to do here, of course, though, is add what? A page break. So we're going to go with Layout, Breaks, Next Page. So we don't have to do enter, enter, enter over and over again. We just have to add in that page break. This brings it down. It gives it that space that we needed it to have. Here's our first paragraph. We don't want it indented, so we're going to go ahead and go first paragraph on that. Take away the indentation. That should be centered without indentation. That's the beginning of the next paragraph. Oh no, we have a hard return where we don't want one. We're going to delete it. Make sure there's a space between our words. And then here at the end, again, we want this to be centered. We don't want it to just be indented. So we're going to come over here to centered. I prefer the end instead of having the hashtag. So we're just going to have it say, oops, the end. And that is how that's done. We'll turn off the show hide feature, and you can see the formatting is nice and clean. It has all the indentations. If you set up these styles, you can change them just by the click of a button, that paragraph, etc., etc. Another thing, when you're creating styles, I talked to you in the other video about how to do these indentations and things using these buttons and the ruler. About italics, any words that you want italicized, the best way to format them is using a style. So italic, bold, anything that you want to do to words, you definitely are better off using styles if you can do it. So if we create a new style here for the word matrons, we want to make it italicized, we'd come here, we'll call it italics, and then instead of paragraph, we want to change this to character. So only what's highlighted, only the characters that are highlighted will become italic. We want to change that to Times New Roman, 12, italic. Okay, that's that little I there. Nothing else is going to change. This is all that it's going to do is affect the letters that are highlighted. So in this case, just matrons. And say you have a whole sentence you want to do in italic, it doesn't change the paragraph or anything about it. It only changes the characters that you've highlighted. Okay? And that is how you clean up the formatting that you send to your editor, to a publisher, or to an agent. And this is definitely how you want it to look. It's fun to get fancy, but fancy is not what's going to be best for you overall. This is a really clean, professional look. This is what they're expecting to see. So if you have any questions about how to do any of these things, if I haven't made it clear for you, please feel free to leave a comment with a question or to email me. You can go to my website, rachelritchie.com. If you need any help with setting up your cover page, your title page, I will make another video on how to do that. But in the meantime, you have everything that you need to make your manuscript shine before you send it to your editor. Your editor will love you when you do this. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. So if I can help you help them, I'm all about it.